Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bahashim Chakudash. The belongs to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the hopeful elect out there, you Akim to Sadakim that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. I'm the priest Shaman. This week's topic is going to be entitled Consistency is the Key to Life. Consistency is the key to life. I took this quote from Dana White. He was being interviewed by, I don't know the guy's name, but the channel is called School of Hard Knocks. He could be a Jake, I don't know, but he looks like an Edomite, could be a Jake. He just goes around asking people, how do they become millionaires? How do they become billionaires and shit? And they kick a lot of game. So it's a pretty good channel if you in that hustle and grind mentality and shit like that. Always like hearing the story of adversity to how these people became successful. I like when they go into that. But so he sat with Dana White, which Dana White was motivating as fuck. He said a lot of shit. He said a lot of things. I was just like, one of the things that grasped me was he said consistency is the key to life, and I had to step back and say, well, damn, that's really everything. Like he's like, whatever it is, if you got to make it a routine, you got to really lock it. You have to be consistent for success, and it parallels in the truth. It parallels in the scriptures. The book of 1 Corinthians 15 and 58 says, "Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast and unmoving." Steadfast and unmoving, being consistent, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord, right? And the epitome of consistency in this truth, as it stands right now, is the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. They are constantly putting up videos. They have not changed. You know what I'm saying? Like, change is good in a certain way when in terms of progressing and growing, all right? But you don't want to change your consistency when you're set to a specific labor or a specific task of righteousness. That's how come if you look at it, Malachi 3 and 6 says, "For I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed." So there's certain things you're not supposed to change in. There's certain things you're supposed to be steadfasting. And that is the work of the Lord, Not getting caught up in extracurricular activities. I saw the Elder Manata Zakbar show out there in South Carolina with these guys jumping on podcasts and shit just to get played. You know what I mean? You get on a podcast, you don't know what the fuck what you there for. Now, granted, it's fulfilling scriptures, because the scriptures does say, I'm gonna get you fame in the land or what have you. Meaning that, what they said, there's a saying, good publicity and bad publicity. At the end of the day, it's still publicity, something like that. They mock niggas like Drewski and shit, but all you're doing is shining more light on this thing, So a majority of people are gonna scoff and be mocked for their destruction. Hey, but you're gonna have a few drop in that wave that say, hey, wait a minute, it starts to inquire more. You see? But yeah, sticking to the topic, man, the Most High doesn't switch up on certain things in terms of, being consistent, being righteous, Like the laws, right? Salvation was now through the blood of Yahweh Shah, but down here we change up the laws and don't keep them in. Nah, man. All right, keep them to the best of your ability. All right, and I'm gonna change your state, your body, and in the kingdom you're gonna be keeping these things perfect by default. All right, without even thinking about it, just programmed that way. Excuse me. The book of Hebrews 13 and 8, Yahweh Shah, same yesterday and the day and forever, and today and forever, right? So again, a consistent man, you know what I'm saying? Hell, man, I was even thinking about it at the gym, like why the hell I'm always being so consistent with the gym? One, praying to the Most High, and the Most High putting the spirit on me to write everything down. When I go in there, it is not really motivation, it's just a discipline. I always say discipline is better than motivation, because motivation is a fluctuating feeling, you know what I'm saying? But if you're disciplined and consistent with something, You just do it. You know, the scriptures, not the scriptures. There's another quote that says, the habitual chains of habits become unbreakable. You know what I'm saying? So if you make something habitual, you want to make the right things habitual, like teaching the word of the Lord, of course, and it becomes unbreakable to the point where it's like, man, I gotta do it. It's like a lifestyle, you know, and that's what you want this truth to be. You know, this thing ain't no burdenous obligation. It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle for me to make sure these lessons are going up. It's a lifestyle for me to make sure my flock is being fed. There's too much shit happening. Speaking of which, sidebar, you know, Al-Jilani is visiting the White House. Okay, now mind you, this guy was a former member of the Al-Qaeda regime, and there was a $10 million bounty on his head. You know, but once they did a CIA regime change operation in Syria, which I believe they coordinated, Israel and the United States coordinated that situation with Ukraine and Russia to keep Russia bogged down. That way they may topple the Syrian government, okay? Because the Syrian government was pretty much a transportation route that Iran was using to send equipment and stuff to Hezbollah, all right, to fight over there in the Middle East. You know, they'll have proxy armies, you know, to fight off them so-called Jews. But, you know, again, now they toppled it, all of a sudden, this guy has a brand new image. He's in the White House with a suit and a tie, so it really shows you, and you shouldn't be surprised, all right? This is the same play. They did the same shit with Saddam Hussein. But what happens is, too, they can lose control of these people, okay? To me, the guy also looked like a so-called Jew, you know what I mean? So, just like Zelensky, he looked just like Zelensky, you know. But all these hidden hands behind the scenes that think they're so deep, really, the Most High is the ultimate puppeteer controlling you, fools, all right? You world leaders, okay, to accomplish his enterprise, all right? Which are the prophecies, all right? The coming destruction of America. All right, let's go back to the consistency part. Colossians chapter 1 verse 23 says, if ye continue in the faith, grounded and settled, and be not moved away from the hope of the gospel which you have heard. All right. There was more there, man, but the app I'm using right now is just, that's right there. But pretty much, if you do these things, if you be continuous, if you be grounded, if you be consistent from the point of this truth to the exit to your death, okay, there's a crown waiting. Revelations 2:10 says, be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. From start to finish, to the end of your life, you have to be consistent in the things you believe in and practicing this word right here, you know. Them guys that make this thing seasonal, camp season's back, because it's getting cold. You're not consistent. You're not consistent, all right? Men of the Lord don't stop. You know what I'm saying? Men of the Lord are like Terminators. Okay, we just can't stop. And we said, you know, hopefully we men of the Lord, hopefully of the elect, we're going to do the things that the hopeful elect would do. Okay? So, the Spirit got me saying it for quite a very long time. If you are in Great Millstone and your channel pop open, it's a video a month ago and shit like that, you might have 2 weeks where you do 2 videos in a week, and the next thing it goes dormant again. Examine yourself, bro. Examine yourself in front of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. This is not a thing of man. This is not a thing of, oh shit, let me do my videos so the apostles see or the elders. This is a thing of, I got to make sure I'm right in the sight of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? If you truly believe this thing, it's not about, again, I fail, or I might get in trouble by men. No. Spirit of the Lord got on my leader to say 3 videos a week. That's the Spirit of the Lord talking. Spirit of the Lord is saying, hey, got to be consistent in season, out of season. And if you take heed, you take heed. All right? If you're not taking heed to that, if you're procrastinating, if you're bullshitting, then that's something you have to examine. And I'm gonna tell you right now, just like Yahweh Shem Yahushua, I do not want to hear any fucking excuses. All right? No fucking excuses as to why you are not being consistent with your videos, why you're not. There's no excuses. We got Nero in. Nero's on fire. Nero's on fire. Trump is on fire. That motherfucker's doing a million things, man. A million things at once. And that's one thing I'll say too about them so-called billionaires and millionaires that they show on that the School of Hard Knocks. Some motherfuckers work 80 hours, 90, 100 hours. They work their ass off. You know? So, same thing spiritually. If you want to be spiritual billionaire, you got to work your ass off, man. All right? The scriptures tell you that if you sow bountifully, you shall reap bountifully. If you sow sparingly, you're gonna reap sparingly. You ain't gonna grow like that, man. If you sowing sparingly, man. I don't want to hear work and look, man. I'm working 2 fucking full-time jobs, man. All the kids, I got a family, and still going to the gym, and still going to camp. You got to make fucking time for this thing, man. Yahushua, when he was told to go on that cross, he said, "I'm busy. Shit, Lord, do I got to do this? I gotta, man." He gave parables about fucking men who make excuses, man. That's the worst. Just be up front. Be up front. I'm not making time. That's if a man is being up front, I'm not making time. It's not I don't have the time. It's I'm not making the time. So many hours in the week and shit, man, to get this thing done. So there should be no excuses amongst us, man. What we got here now? This next precept. I read Corinthians, I read Colossians, I read Revelations, 2 Timothy 2:15. All right, study to show thyself approved unto the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Right, I mean, look, being, diligent, making a constant effort to study. All right. By the way, I use the AI to put these precepts together, so that's how come it's kind of like, just for the sake of time, but we'll read them, we'll break them down. I like when I put my precepts, I like a consistency and like a narrative when you're teaching a show. You know what I'm saying? This scripture is followed by this scripture, followed by, making points in there. All right, Sirach, that's come to serve the Lord. Oh yeah, I'll put that. I'll read that. Like this, I was saying, like the AI got the scriptures. Anyways, Sirach 2:1. I'll start at 2. It says 2:1-3. It says, "My son, if thou comes to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation." Right, you come in this thing, prepare for adversity. Don't bitch up and run away now. Set thy heart aright and constantly endure. There go that word. Constant, consistency. All right. And make not haste in time of trouble. Right. So, hey, now that I'm meditating on it, that's actually a good precept. Look at the AI doing this thing. That's actually a good precept because sometimes an individual might really be going hard when things are going smooth, but when the Most High throw monkey wrenches in there, switch up. Nah, you still got to be thankful for whatever Yahweh Shem Yahushua is putting you through, all right, and still find a way to make sure you very much passionate and vehement about what we're doing. And I remember Elder Inap, he talked about it, man. This is when we was on Delancey many years ago now, all right. He's like, look, you could be going through all types of hell during the week, man. You come out to camp regular face, man. Because right now we're in mission mode. We're in war times, Can't be coming all downtrodden and mopey and shit. Now you gotta lock in. You see? It says, Sirach 5:10, "Be steadfast in thine understanding, and let thy word be the same." Bomba clot. All right, Messiah AI says, "Be steadfast in thy understanding." So again, when it comes to proper understanding, you don't want to change. Okay? It says, "And let thy word be the same." Boy. Be steadfast in the word of the Lord, man. We don't come up and switch up the doctrine, you know. One minute these guys will say these nations can't get in, and next thing you know, oh, we had a revelation. The nations can make it now. That's inconsistent. You know. Hey, that's how come when the Most High kick individuals out, brother. So, you know, some brothers are gonna always put together some clip or what have you, and you'll see a clip of a guy speaking one thing while with us, zapped out speaking something completely different. Man's was not consistent. Man's was not steadfast. Right? They got James 1:8, being double-minded, unstable in all his ways. Abomination. Okay, let me see what else they have. Ooh, I like this one. Galatians chapter 6, verse 9 says, and let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. Man, you see how beautiful the scriptures are, man? And the Lord has promised you. He's saying, look, if you don't be weary in what's well doing? Teaching, putting together lessons, praying, fasting. Because prayer, yo, that's something you definitely want to be consistent in, man. You know, brothers, we gotta pray. Scripture says pray without cease. That's one thing I'll say, man. That's the most consistent thing you'd want to do, man. Pray, because the war starts right here. And if the name of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua is not constantly being prayed to in your mind, all right, now there's an avenue for the, you know, to seep into where shit, you know, you forgetting to pray, you know, and then it just snowballs. So can't be weary in that, man. All right, can't be weary in a lot of things, but man, prayer. And that's Apostle Elder Ricard's biggest thing. He's always talking about praying, you know. Gotta pray to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, all right? It says, and let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not, right? And just like husbandry, planting a seed, okay, you don't reap the benefits right away. You know, you don't put a seed in the earth and next day you got a fucking huge field. You know, it don't work like that. You know, it's an investment. It takes time. That's how come the scripture says those that sow in tears shall reap in joy, because when you actually sow seed into the earth, you don't know what type of return on investment you might get. You know, the birds might eat some of that shit. You know, Yahushua goes on into that parable. You know, some of it might get cast on the rock. You know, it might get choked up with thorns, all that type of stuff. The seed is the word. That's the book of Luke 8:11. The field is the world, and also in terms of planting a seed in an individual, the ground, or the fallow ground, as it says in the book of Hosea, could be the mind. Remember, the scripture says, break up fallow grounds. All right, breaking up fallow grounds in the ancient world was something you would do when the rain season didn't really soften that earth up enough, and you'd have to take a pickaxe or whatever and break it up. So some brothers' minds are really like that. It's term hard-headed. Right? I was a hard-headed guy. You know what I'm saying? But you know, the spirit softened up after a while. Then the seed was able to plant. You see? So it's the same thing. You know, when we're laboring and we're teaching, you know, we can't just expect to have an immediate return on investment. You have to be consistent. You have to be a consistent soul, constantly and then look at the flock grow. Speaking of the elder out there in Manat Zakbar, this is the last thing I'm gonna say too. I remember when that brother was the only guy. He's still, you know, I think he's with one brother now. And them truth or die niggas was getting all the attention, but all he did was just consistently teach. And now boom, 15 years later or whatever, the flock has grown on the internet highways. Brother has huge subscribers and listeners, and he's still being very much consistent. So that's the key to success, man, and hopefully make it. You know, that's what the scriptures are saying. So with that, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashim Rakakudash, that belongs to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the hopeful elect out there. You Akim to Sadakim that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. Shalom.